Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. So my name is Paulo, and today, yes, I am in the middle of the snow. It's amazing, but aside from that, today we're going to be talking about marketing automation. Okay, so this is actually the future of marketing, let's say. So I was part of a webinar together with a few more people that are experts on the marketing automation and marketing technology. So we were part of a webinar, and this is what you're going to get if you stick around. Okay, so in between, feel free to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're looking for more content like this around knowledge sharing, but also aside from that around CRM, marketing technology, and also tech consulting. Okay, so with that said, all the best and enjoy the webinar. Okay, cheers, bye bye.
Congrats, Jeevan. Can I say something? Recording.
Go ahead, Michael.
I want to say good job on putting that all together. I think the agenda looks amazing, and definitely looking forward to the entire presentation by everyone.
Oh yes, for sure. We have 6 keynote speakers today, and then we have a panel discussion post that.
I see that Suhas is here as well. Thank you, Suhas, for all your help in sending all of the invitations, the links and everything more than one time across maybe 10 channels to me. I appreciate that as well.
Thanks again, Michael. I'll pass that on. Great, we can see some more people joining us now. And it's just about time for us to get started. On behalf of Group Futurista, I welcome you all to the webinar for Future of Marketing Automation for Businesses. We would like to welcome all our attendees. We would like to welcome and thank our sponsors, Dispatch. We have our 6 keynote speakers with us: Michael Volpi, Chirodip Basu, Mostafa Ahli, Petrin, Paulo Gomes, and Vassilena Valchanova. We thank you all for taking the time out for attending this event. We respect your time and are looking forward to this event giving insights that can be beneficial to your businesses. Our agenda for today will be Future of Marketing Automation for Businesses. Before going forward, I'll take a moment to talk a bit about Group Futurista. Group Futurista is a leading global events company creating its own emerging technology summits where creativity fosters and innovations flourish. They believe in the power of networking and connecting with innovative thinkers, bright minds from across industries, academia, and government organizations. Under the Future of Marketing Automation for Business, our silver sponsor today is Dispatch. Dispatch is an industry-leading email production platform designed to help businesses focus more time on innovation and growth and less time on implementation. Dispatch empowers your non-technical email team to increase engagement and conversion metrics by providing amazing email experiences at scale. You can now build beautiful interactive email templates in minutes using pre-coded content blocks and easily collaborate with key stakeholders all within Dispatch. Talking about today's agenda, marketing automation uses software to automate repetitive marketing tasks. Marketing departments can automate these tasks such as email marketing, social media postings, and even advertising campaigns to not only increase efficiency, but also provide a more personalized experience for their customers. Marketing automation is a combination of software, strategy, and customer orientation. Looking at the common challenges that businesses are facing, we find that creating leads and retaining customers is paramount in their journey. In addition to these goals, organizations are also facing an explosive growth in the data that they collect, but are still struggling to harness that. Marketing automation software helps you meet these challenges by optimizing your workflow and making your data work. I would now like to welcome our first keynote speaker. He will be talking about how to improve campaign effectiveness with marketing automation. We have Michael Volpi, Manager Digital Marketing Americas at International. He's innovation-driven Senior Digital Marketing Manager with over 9 years of experience in lead generation, client retention, and engagement projects development and delivery across Europe, Asia Pacific, Americas in B2B and B2C markets, bringing together his strategic, creative, and technical skills. I now hand over the mic to Michael. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Jeevan. I'm definitely delighted to be here today and having been given the opportunity to share some thoughts and ideas on how to improve campaign effectiveness with marketing automation. So I'll just, marketing effectiveness with marketing automation, this is just a huge topic, right? So there is only so much we can cover in 15 minutes. But I'd like to start by saying that the 4 points that you see now on the screen are really the 4 pillars, I'd say, of how to lead to more or less great effectiveness when we're building campaigns. And the reason why I've chosen this 500 years old also drawing from Leonardo da Vinci, which is a Vitruvian man, it is because even back then it represented what was the principle of humanism, basically putting men with capital M at the center of everything. So the way it translates into what we do on a daily basis as marketers is that, yes, those 4 pillars, even if integrated very well together and implemented very well, can lead to some or great effectiveness if we forget that our leads, our prospects, and our clients should be at the center of it all. Unfortunately, there isn't much we can do to maximize those. Okay, so that's why this is right there. So without further ado, and building on to the first pillar, I'd like to start with data integration. So I'd like to see my data set, or I'd like to visualize my data set as a bi-directional electrical circuit, right? That you need to visualize, where electricity is being replaced by basically with data flow. And for an electrical circuit to work, all connections need to be closed. They need to actually connect to one another. If there is a gap in that circuit, obviously you're going to have to replace that, if you want to do the things right, with manual processes. And with manual processes, we all know, comes several challenges, such as, additional cost on the team, obviously the marketing team, because someone is doing something manually that should be automated, but also the higher potential for making a mistake. We all humans, we do make mistakes. When something is a manual, that leads most of the time to increased errors. And then most of the time as well, what we're seeing, if there is gaps into connectivity, it is the non-ability to maximize that segmentation, personalization down the road. So we're going to go through those in more details, but this is the reason why integrating all our data across all our platforms is paramount, I'd say, to what we are going to talk about here. In orange on the graph, you can see a few examples of what are the native or custom object data fields that you can connect with from one platform to another. The more, I wouldn't say the more, the better. That's down to your organization and your strategy. But definitely having as many fields connected to all platforms possible is what's crucial to leading to a good campaign effectiveness. Now, when we talk about integrating data and sharing data across all our platforms, we cannot forget the very heavy burden that marketing teams have on their shoulders, all of us have, and that's data integrity. So more and more we are hearing, and that has been already some years, starting in Australia, Pacific, Europe, going into the US with California, we have Brazil and a lot more countries coming up. Data privacy, data protection is really across everything that we do and should be the focal point of everything that we do. We have a huge amount of cyber attacks, going on in pretty much all countries in the world, and that's going to be the trend moving forward more and more. So all the new technologies that we onboard, in my opinion, really need to go through an information security assessment and need to go out on the other side. I wouldn't integrate any platform, and I wouldn't even consider a platform today if they do not integrate with everything else that we have, but also if they don't go through a complete InfoSec assessment coming out the other side green, I would just pass on it. And as an example, we have more and more today prospective clients through RFPs or proposal reviews that are asking us to provide them with the InfoSec assessment, the verified InfoSec assessment of all our platforms, including marketing platforms. And that was not the case a few years ago. So it means that now we have the duty to do that more and more, the duty to protect the data of our clients, our prospects and leads, and do it the correct way. So data integration comes with data integrity. They do not, they don't silo one another. The second point is A/B testing, analytics and insights. So A/B testing, really, I like to look at it as simple statistics, right? And I'd rather rely on statistics than guesses. And there is no marketing team out there that know the audience to a level that they should literally create anything without A/B testing. I think that if we have A/B testing in place, and marketing automation is excellent at providing us with the ability to A/B test pretty much everything we want, or most objects we want, we need to take that in consideration and apply it. So I've put down the slide there a few examples of A/B testing. We can really test a lot of different things. But if we think that marketing is a science, then I think we need to apply the science principles to our campaigns. And that's simple. No experiment outcome is verified if it hasn't been reproduced 3 times in a row with the same outcome. And basically A/B testing allows us to try that and make sure that this is what's happening. So I would not implement any changes to any of the A/B testing experiments that we provide, or we create or we run, if it has not been verified multiple times in a row to even the same objects. We are all humans. If you present me with something today, an experiment, and I react to it a certain way, tomorrow I might react to the same experiment a different way. And that's why it is important for us to be basically, we are irrational creatures. We need to be presented with multiple things, multiple times in order to really put on one side or another the option that we choose. So that's basically what I would say about A/B testing. A few examples, we common sense for most of you maybe, but it's better to be verifying this with data. We tested CTA color buttons, and believe it or not, that's kind of common sense, but more aggressive colors lead to a higher click-through rate. Orange and red buttons, more click-through rates. We also tested the amount of information we place on landing pages that are high conversion landing pages. Do we want 3 bullet points? Do we want 5 bullet points? And basically, in that scenario, less is more was not applying. 5 bullet points was leading to an actual 18% increased click-through rate of form fill-outs, right? So imagine that across a nurture campaign that's gathering thousands or tens of thousands of prospects, leads, or clients. The outcome is significant. The difference is significant. So that's the second thing I'd like to say about A/B testing. The third point is segmentation, personalization, lead scoring, and I say vice versa because I think that segmentation and personalization can create lead scoring. But then when the lead scoring is in place, we need to feed our segmentation and personalization with it as well. So it needs to kind of be a rotating loop there. And I speak with a lot of my peers in regard to what kind of lead scoring model they have in place. And I hear a lot, and I've done it in the past as well, it's changed since then, that they have one single lead scoring across most of their platforms, scoring pretty much anyone and everything with a threshold in place, but still just one. And that for me is very close to having a one size fits all strategy. It does not work, or it's not maximizing what we can do. That's on the top right hand corner of my screen that you can see the different other lead scoring that we could implement to basically maximize that, again, capability of marketing automation. Having a main prospect lead scoring, that's okay. But I'd recommend as well to have campaign specific scoring. That is really for us to have a very targeted scoring system or model in place for very targeted audience on a very targeted piece of content. So the outcome, or once you've assessed that, the outcome can actually be very tangible, and either you and your sales team can actually take action on that very quickly and very easily, or a lot more easily than if it was a little broader. And the one I'd like to emphasize on for a minute there is the client scoring. So most of you would be like, why would I score my clients? Well, actually, I think that for us, at least at International SOS, we are medically led or medical assistance company. And we apply what we call the patient-first approach. And we actually keep that in mind when we build our campaign strategies and everything that we do in marketing. Patient-first or audience-first. Again, back to Petrin. And why do we have a client scoring? Well, we work hand in hand with a sales team. And as part of the sales team, we have the account management team looking after existing book of business. In order to retain that book of business, or at least to reduce churn, we needed to implement some kind of model that would trigger automatically notifications or red flags to the account owner when one of their accounts starting disengaging with our marketing materials or our marketing campaigns. And that is really useful because we've looked into the data a little further. We've worked with products to understand if there was a correlation. So we had a hypothesis: is there a correlation between low product utilization and low marketing engagement from the same account? And that was verified. So basically, marketing is able, at least through our client scoring model, to red flag early the accounts that start disengaging with what we produce. And then if we don't do that, and if the action is not taken ahead of time, that can actually lead, or that can show that there is also a low product utilization. And unfortunately, the two of them together lead to potential higher risk for not renewing, not rebuying with us, and so on and so forth. So lead scoring can really be utilized in many various different ways. The prospect lead scoring or the main lead scoring shouldn't be the only one that we utilize in my marketing. But that's up for debate. We can talk about it in a minute. Down below, we have, of course, segmentations and personalization criteria or objects that most of us can experiment with. Again, but that's down to each organization and their strategy. Now, the last slide is the most complex one, I guess, but the most interesting one in my mind. All that we talked about before. So if we start with our audience at the center of it all, and then having a great integrated data, having the personalization segmentation in place, the lead scoring or multiple lead scoring, giving us the right amount of data and insight that we need. We can, and with the technology of today, we can build what we call a digital ecosystem, which basically brings all our channels and all our touch points together. And that again is not, or it is ultimately, of course, leading to higher results for us. But it is mostly for our audiences to react in a way that they feel we understand them better, that the journey that we propose to them is the most adapted to the way they would interact, right? And that's why an ecosystem basically needs to be created with everything else that we talked about. And we have all very, different channels. We have different ways of doing things. But as a topic of conversation, I've put down in the red rectangle there an example of what could be an omni-channel campaign, prospecting campaign in that scenario, that actually can be created only if all of the first three pillars were implemented correctly. So I'm going to go through that really quickly with you, and then we can talk about it. But if you had Google Ads, pushing for a white paper, that is a high conversion white paper, one of the ones that works best for you, that would actually be pushing for a more holistic message about your solution. Once the prospect or traffic fills out your form to download the white paper, and that's being sent to them by email rather than just download straight away, so you collect correct email addresses rather than just crappy information, that person would be automatically, through marketing automation, of course, be put through an email nurture campaign. And instead of sending emails on a specific frequency coming from a generic marketing inbox and name, it'd be best to have a signature rule in place that is basically automating emails and sending those on behalf of salespeople based on industry of your prospects and or the location or anything else basically your sales team is dividing your territory on. Attached to those emails, you may have calendar integration, or Calendly, we use Calendly integration tool that basically allows the prospect to directly book a meeting with that salesperson. You, marketing, can just acquire the lead through your attribution model. But besides that, they can actually fast track the customer journey, and they are autonomous. The sales team is autonomous if that's happening. But unfortunately, if that's not the case, if they're not converting that fast, you may have in parallel retargeting ads running. You can use AdRoll. You have your own platforms that's basically pushing very targeted ads, so pieces of your solution that may be talking to your audience better than the holistic one on a rotating fashion. So they are not, so your platform doesn't push just the best converting one, it pushes all of them. So basically all prospects see all pieces of solution on a constant basis and will interact with the one that talks to them the best. And that leads them to a landing page where, of course, the content is 100% related to the ad, the retargeted ad that they've clicked on, which is very specific about something they're interested in. On that landing page, this is where you can test your 3 to 5 bullet point strategy, as I talked about earlier. But you may have a chatbot, which can be manned as well. A chatbot would have a conversation flow that you would have built that actually talks about that piece of content and tries to bring that back into the holistic solution through a conversation. So it's as it is conversational, it is a lot better for the prospect to actually interact and engage with it. The chatbot would be proposing several CTAs before it would be a demo of part of our subscription. Once the demo is booked, this is where basically everything comes together. The marketing qualified lead is generated through your marketing automation system, pushed through your CRM to the right business development manager that will take action on it, whether they will accept the MQL or refuse the MQL. If they accept it, it becomes an SQL and an opportunity is created down the line. And through your marketing attribution model, everything comes together. You have a closed loop reporting, so you can attribute your opportunity back to the first campaign, depending on what kind of attribution model you have. For us, it's point-based. Some of us have first touch, last touch, or equal model. Really depends what you have, and then basically you can demonstrate our way. So that's what I wanted to take you through today. I think it's just run on time. I know we have a few minutes for questions. But these are my 4 pillars. And of course, we can deep dive in each of them for hours. But, 15 minutes, these are the ideas or thoughts that I had around how to improve campaign effectiveness with marketing automation.
Thanks, Michael, for such a detailed and informative presentation. We have 2 questions there for you. The first question talks about, I want to increase personalization on my website. What are some of the ways this can be done?
Increase conversion through the website.
Increase personalization on website.
So most CMS, I mean, there is various ways, of course, but most CMS today would allow for personalization as a native capability. If you work with Sitecore, for example, I think Sitecore from their version 8 onward had a very, very good personalization module that can be implemented. And personalization works with basically what we talked about today. You can even do some A/B testing on personalization. You can do some lead scoring leading to personalization on your .com site. So if your .com site needs to be personalized, and it needs to be, I think that implementing several strategies that would have basically your lead scoring showing what is the best or what is the content that's the most interesting for your audience, being pushed at several parts of your .com site will lead to personalization. Of course, it's a simple thing to do with most CMS today, and that would be a thing. I think with data privacy that's coming up, there is a major topic we can't just forget. You may not be able to do very targeted personalization moving forward to unknown traffic. And that can actually, there are ways around it through cluster targeting, for example, or group targeting that will not be 100% targeting this specific individual, but a group of individuals that share the same characteristics, which might be enough for some of us when the solution they're pushing is not too precise and too difficult to comprehend, I would say.
Thanks. The second question is, will automated marketing reduce the amount of work for the marketing department?
Oh, yes. I've gone through 2 marketing automation implementations now in my past 10 years. And I can say that the amount of efforts that is needed to put those in place is worth 1,000 times anything that you do if you didn't have a marketing automation system. I think there is a session further down in the agenda today which talks purely about that. So I leave that to my colleague there. But I think that it's a no-brainer, specifically in 2022, to have a marketing automation. Not only that replaces people, that's not the point. It is to support everything that we do across all activities. I have never, in the team that we have before and after marketing automation was implemented, we did not have to fire anyone. We actually increased our team based on marketing automation because we needed different skill sets that we didn't have earlier. But basically every role within the team, and that's across 2 continents, were enhanced by the use of marketing automation. So yes, saving a huge amount of time, understanding our audience 1,000 times better, and helping us basically do our job better every day. That's what marketing automation really is for.
Thanks again, Michael, for taking these questions. I will now move on to our second keynote speaker. This topic is going to be on personalization for business growth. Our speaker today is Chirodip Basu, Head of Marketing, Ahli United Bank. He has spent nearly 2 decades in a variety of challenging roles at the heart of banking and service industries across the MENA region. With a proven background in marketing, leadership, and management, Chirodip has at the heart of development and execution of marketing strategy, advertising, customer relationship management, branding, managing product life cycles, and creating brand awareness. Over to you, Mr. Basu.
I hope I'm audible.
Good audio, sir.
Good audio. Okay. So let me share my screen. I need some help. I think the screen is already, somebody else's screen is being shared.
Right. Michael, can we have you stop your screen share, please? Just allow me a moment.
Sure.
I think it should be easy for you to share now.
Okay. Yep. So I hope it's clear now. Now, the way I wanted to start off is, what we did is a quick poll on LinkedIn. And before I go there, of course, let me take 2 seconds to introduce myself. I like to call myself a marketing ninja. Ninja because of the skills that is associated with the word ninja. I've got around 2 decades of marketing experience across various roles at the heart of banking and service industries in the MENA region. Now, in today's presentation, the way we have laid down the flow, we want to kind of talk about laying the ground, what are the delivery options, setting goals, and creating an omni-channel experience, which is what we all want to do, and some examples. So that's the kind of flow that I want to go through. Before we start, like what I was talking about, we did a quick poll on LinkedIn about what is the biggest obstacle for a marketer as of today. And I think the general consensus that the CMOs have today is the dependency on IT and time to market. I think 43.8% in my network feel that that is one of the biggest hindrance in delivering results. So we need to address that. Now that's something that leads directly to why this dependency has come through. Dependency has come through because it's all dependent on data. Gone are those days when we take decision without having a real-time, in-depth, centralized, accessible data, which gives us conscious indication about what we want to do. At the core of personalization, we need to know each individual, and that's the crucial make or break moment out of it. And that's what data enables us to have. Now, setting goals. Coming from the banking industry, one of the biggest or the only metrics that we talk about in most of the meetings is about revenue. Is revenue the only metrics? Now, that's the biggest question. Convincing your CFO in signing off a budget, which is more to do with something other than a direct impact on revenue, becomes very difficult. You can talk about increasing conversions, you can talk about content downloads, email signups, offer redemption, but all this does not cut the CFO's options. Net impact or net impact to the bottom line is all that they are looking for. Now, it is very important for marketers to be able to have the board on their side in explaining that it is just not about revenue and how the impact to the revenue will come over a period of time. I think that's quite crucial, and one needs to be able to convince their board onto that. Now, coming after being able to look into the data, where the biggest obstacles are there, and convincing the entire board of coming on personalization journey, what becomes the next important milestone is to look at channels. Now, if you see 71% of the customers mostly use another channel to make one single transaction. If they have started online, they probably would move on to the call center or would step into the branch, but somewhere or the other, there will be a conversion from one channel to the other. 69% of customers expect a connected experience. People want a seamless experience across all channels. They want that the information that they have accessed on one of the channels should easily be accessible to the other channel, and they do not need to repeat what they have said. I'm sure you guys have gone through this option so many times where you would have joined a call center, had a call, the call dropped, next call center agent comes up and picks up, and you have to say the same thing again. And that's very irritating. That's exactly the same thing that we are talking about here. Not just limiting to one channel, we are talking about multiple channels, and hence it is very important that we have a connected experience across all channels. Now, once we have that, we understand the importance of channels, we come to the talk about omnichannel. Now, omnichannel is an overused word which is probably known to everybody now. However, delivering an omnichannel experience is equally difficult. Now, we are not just talking about one channel here. We're not talking about only digital-based multiple channels here. We're talking about physical, digital, the entire universe of channels, and that becomes very difficult. The priority of an agent who is serving you physically is quite different from somebody who is targeted and doing a telemarketing call. However, the expectation is that the customer should get the same kind of importance across all touch points. Customers expect to be able to pick up where they left off, and that comes as the most difficult challenge for marketeers to fulfill. I think in a journey of personalization, this becomes the biggest hurdle. It is not about personalizing content. It is more about personalizing the experience across multiple channels, especially non-digital channels. So in summary, what we need to do is we need to look at the data, because that's what leads the way for us. That gives us the direction in which we should go. We should plan different channels simultaneously. One of the major important aspects is to communicate with all the stakeholders. Be proactive rather than reactive. Now, this is mostly the issue that comes through in any implementation, especially in personalization journey. And look at the opportunity as an opportunity to learn, grow, and transform. So in summary, that's what I wanted to present across. Now, somehow I was trying to look at that. So there is one page that I want you guys to go. The video is somehow not coming on, but there is not just a Cadbury ad. So Cadbury did some amazing advertisement in India during Diwali. They got the biggest star in India, and what they were able to do was to have a page. Let me see if I can share that page across. I think that would be more easy for me. Just give me a second. Yeah, I think I should do this. Unfortunately, the page is closed now. So what they have done is they were able to create a whole section where they were able to create a whole section where people could go on and put in their details and customize an ad based on your location. So if I would land on this page, I would automatically see what are the different categories. I would put in my details, and the ad would then be customized across according to my needs. So Shah Rukh Khan would come in and say, buy this from so and so, and that's how it is. And that ad would actually be aired across India. I think that's an amazing way of using personalization because it kind of takes a couple of different elements together. It takes a CSR angle, combines with personalization, and comes up with something which is much bigger than what it is. So that's all from my end, and I'm sure I'll open it up for question and answers.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. We have one question on personalization. How do you think personalization will change with the depreciation of cookies in 2023?
I understand that the journey will be difficult, but please understand that once there has been, people have got tuned to customization, they will want customized attention. So there is, I don't think, yeah, there will be an impact, but I expect there will be something which kind of circumvents that, and we have some other ways of going through. See, personalization now, one part is about cookies, but you can target, you can retarget them through Google. You can show them ads on different social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram. So personalization is just not limited to cookies anymore. And given the kind of experience that people have had, I don't think people would want to go back to generic ads anymore. So I think personalization is going to stay for sure.
Perfect. Thank you once again for your time and sharing all the valuable information. We shall now move on to our third keynote. The topic for the same is predictive marketing using AI, a best practice for retail banking. Our speaker for this is Mostafa Ahli, Head of Digital Marketing, Banque, Caire, a digital marketing veteran with refined skills in predictive marketing, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. He's been between both roles of client-vendor. Mostafa has worked for, represented, or consulted for over 15 banks and fintech companies since 2008 to date. He is originally an engineer who followed his passion to study, practice, and work in digital marketing. And that passion adjusted his trajectory in life to a scholar of data science and related technology stacks. I now hand over to Mostafa.
Thank you, Jeevan. It's a pleasure to be here, had this opportunity to share something exciting with you guys. I will now try to share my screen. Is it visible now? Hello? Jeevan, I've shared my screen.
Yes.
I hope
we have a good visual
okay.
from your side.
Okay, let's start right away. Thank you all for being here. I will share a couple of slides with you with some interesting insights about predictive marketing using artificial intelligence. This is a special deck that is addressing the case of retail banking. I believe this could be a framework for a best practice for retail banking. I've put my LinkedIn, but feel free to send me your connection invites. A bit of disclaimer before we start. Everything here is my personal views and is not a representation of my current or previous employers. Our agenda for today, we'll talk about predictive marketing and how to develop the right strategy and what to think of the data modeling and algorithms of it. It's a huge topic, of course, but we'll try to cover it, cover the fundamentals of it. And then using artificial intelligence in predictive marketing, more of specific emphasis on a couple of points, and then we'll summarize the key takeouts. So what is predictive marketing? Predictive marketing is where digital marketing meets predictive analytics. It's a mix between both, really. You put the data science of predictive analytics and marketing or digital marketing together, and this is what you get. We're trying to figure out what customers are more likely to convert or to accept your offering if they experienced a certain marketing message that is sent to them or communicated to them through a certain marketing channel. So we're trying to find out which customers are more likely than the others to respond if you send them a specific message on a specific channel. Now, how it works is basically companies or businesses try to utilize their data silos or the data lakes or the data warehouses with all the different consolidated sources of data in one place, and then apply mathematical models, what we call predictive analytics. And you apply these predictive models to figure out the subsequent data sets of the customers who are most likely to buy. And then you target these customers who are most likely to buy because this is the best optimization you can ever do in your campaign. Now, after you make the predictions, you come back again and feedback the cycle of the actual results so you can improve on the models that you have built. Now, why is this important more than not just a hype or not just a trend? Because predictive analytics is predictive marketing is such a transformational concept. It's basically changing the view or the paradigm of the marketing from being a cost center to a profit center, because it's the actual practice of increasing or optimizing the ROI. And I have seen cases that the ROI was doubled, meaning it was multiplied up to 17 times from the original ROI rates of just targeting everybody with a common broadcast or a common message. Now, before we get into the retail banking, I want to share something with you of a bit of a more simple approach for predictive marketing from the call center industry, so you can get the gist of it, you can get the idea of it before we dive into the more complex model of retail banking. So this is the real life example from a call center for an automotive company. CRM had 50,000 customers in the database, and the automotive company wanted to reach out to their customers so they can make a pre-booking for a new car, that limited edition that is coming out in a few months. Now, we have 50,000 customers. You cannot just rely on intuition or the judgment of the marketing manager or the sales director or someone like that to make filtration or figure out which customers to call. What you really want to do is that you want to make an informed decision based on analytics and data to identify what customers are more likely to buy. So the idea is it's not just who to call first. It's looking at the customer profiles and their historic transactions, and also, this is the interesting part of the call center, is all about when you actually call the customers. What time of the day are they most likely to pick up the phone, and what day of the week are they most likely to answer the phone, and what days of the month is towards the end of the month or the beginning of the month or the middle of the month, and so on. And how to call them, because looking at the data and the historic data, there is a pattern for some customers who respond very positively if they were contacted, for example, by the opposite gender. Would you use that data to make, for example, male agents call female customers or female customers call female agents, and so on? And what you really want to do is you want to match or pair your best performing agents or call center representatives to call the customers who are most likely to convert, because this is the kind of way you optimize your chances. You get the best agents from the quality scores, and then you make this agent call the customer who has the system has predicted that they're very most likely to answer the call and accept the offer. Now, this is just an example to give you the idea of how we look at different metrics and dimensions between using the previous call center data and the customer profiles and customer satisfaction data, which gives a lot of insights about what customers prefer to be called by what gender, for example. Now, let's go into the retail banking. Now, this chart explains the entirety of the banking, let's say, landscape. So you have the retail business, and you have the corporate business, and you have the existing customers, and you have the new customers. And in this case, in this predictive analytics or predictive marketing case, we're going to focus on the quadrant which is between the retail and the existing customers. So we want to go to our existing customers in the retail banking and do some cross-selling to them. So they have a customer who say an account, savings account or a current account. You want to pitch to this customer, cross-sell to this customer to buy another retail product while he is an existing customer, for example, get a personal loan or an auto loan or a new credit card or something like that. Now, this case is focused on this quadrant. There is other applications, of course, but for our case, we're going to focus on this quadrant. Now, in this slide, I try to answer what data sources are you going to pull data or consolidate data from. So the case for retail banking is that you pull data from your core banking, the digital channels. It's everything, the mobile banking, online banking, ATMs, the data from the campaigns that you do, like display campaigns, social media campaigns, and even offline campaigns if you are doing some offline activations at certain locations where your business is present at. And you also get data from customer experience. That is data coming from all the satisfaction surveys that you do and the complaints from the CRM and so on. And also data from research data, because predictive analytics also works very, it's best when you also combine not just the data that you have, but also data coming from third party, like research agencies that do research data for what your customers are looking at, how your competitors are performing, and so on. And if you combine all this data in a data warehouse and you try to start applying the predictive analytics, then you will basically be able to identify patterns, and from identifying patterns, you'll be able to make predictions on what customers are most likely to buy the retail banking that you're trying to cross-sell, like a credit card or a personal loan. Now, what's in the data? Now, in this slide, I try to put but I think the most important dimensions of what's in the data for the case of retail banking. Basically, you have the personal data of the customer profiles, like the age, gender, location, and so on. This data is either static or not changing very frequently. And you have the business data. What products do they have? What service contracts did they sign up to? What subscriptions are active and their durations and so on. And then their experience dimension, which is the volume of the purchase of the products that they already had, or how frequent, and the contact profiles to the call center or the online banking or the mobile banking, and the impressions of what campaigns have they experienced, or what marketing messages have they been in touch with. And the usage is usage profiles basically reflect when the customers have used your product, like, for example, went online to check on his balance but did not buy or submit a complaint or make any transaction. He just went on to check the balance and exited. So this is kind of example of the usage. Also, fourth dimension, which I see very becoming more important these days, it's the influencer index, and basically try to look at your customer profiles and see to try to determine the limit or the impact of their influence. Are they big on social media? Are they key decision makers in the businesses that have business with your bank? The value index is how big are their accounts or the loans or the credit card volumes and so on. And the satisfaction index is basically data coming from the satisfaction surveys. Now, in this, predictive marketing, what it's really all about, the entirety of the cycle. So what we're trying to do here, now that we've seen all the data, we have identified the sources, we know what's in it. Now, what the algorithms are trying to do here is to match each customer in the data, and we're talking hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions, each one of these customers with what products he or she is most likely to buy based on the predictive algorithms that you have used. For example, you've used a mix between logistic regression, time series forecasting, and I don't know, neural networks, for example. So you match every customer with the products that they are likely to buy, and you even identify in this grid what marketing channels that they are most likely to convert, and you do not just use one. So the data, the algorithm will tell you that this person is most likely to purchase or to convert if they see a message on their mobile application. But this is not the only touch point or the channel that you have to go through. You might have to consider others, but understanding which one is the most effective or will break is the point breaker where the customer will actually take the action is important. But you understand that there is more than just one channel that might be used in parallel as well. Now, in this slide, I try to look at the reporting and the optimization of it all. What products do we want to sell and the contribution to our revenue? Because when you're applying the algorithms with more than one product, you might see that maybe a couple of products will compete at the same level of interest or prediction that the customer is going to buy. But then you have to look also at which one of them, you have to make a choice, which one of them is going to contribute more to your revenue. So if I have to choose between a credit card and a loan, I will choose a credit card, for example. Now, customer eligibility per product. And this is important because just like we said, the customers might be eligible for more than one product at different levels. And then you deploy the cross channels marketing because like we've explained previously, customers are going to purchase at one point, but they need to experience the message or the marketing campaign at different touch points. What dates are times that customers most likely to make conversion, using third-party tools to boost the customer acquisitions, and also the reiteration of bringing everything back to the beginning after you get the results, and you start reiterating over and over until you get the maximum optimization results. Now, using AI in predictive modeling, now people come and say, oh, we can do a lot of predictive modeling in simple things like Excel, for example, or using simple scripts in R or Python. But why do we need to dig deeper and use advanced tools for artificial intelligence? Why cannot be done in a simple way? It can be done in a simple way, but if you do have the technology stack, and if you do bring the muscles of the artificial intelligence and the related technologies, you'll be able to do it continuously, not just one time, not just once a month, not just once a quarter, but you'll be able to do it not just weekly, but almost every day. So, and this will bring your learning curve up to a very good point in a very short time, and you'll be able to continue delivering sustainable results and continuous results. Now, if I can give you one tip or one advice of if you're going to do predictive marketing and you're going to bring on predictive analytics and use it in your digital marketing, the best advice that I can give you is do not rely on one team. Get multiple vendors if you have to. If you are doing everything internally, get multiple teams. Create multiple teams to compete for the same goal. If you're going to make a hybrid implementation between your internal teams and the vendors, do so in multiple teams and make all of them. I would typically choose between 3 or 4 teams, make everyone compete for the same goal. And when you get the results of their data sets, filter it out, take out all the common stuff, and this is the golden standard that you will run to or use in your campaigns. So, to summarize everything up, predictive marketing is the usage of predictive analytics to determine what customers or which customers most likely to respond, convert to what marketing campaigns, using artificial intelligence in predictive marketing. What I would think is it's an extreme edge of marketing automation because consider all the complexity of modeling the data, the integration of data sources, the entirety of the technology stack, and so on. Retail banking can achieve tremendous growth within the portfolio of existing customers when predictive marketing is implemented. The key factor, successful implementation is not just building a technology stack that can handle massive data volumes, but also making quick modifications and using multiple teams to compete for delivering the optimum results. So that was it, and thank you all for being here. I'm open for questions and ready to
thank you, Mostafa. We have 2 questions from our audience for you. Question 1: how long does the process usually take, and what type of knowledge do I need to have in my team for application of predictive analysis?
Yeah, it depends really on the industry. If you're doing this for banking, it will take, if you're in the banking industry, it will take, if you're between 6 months to maybe a year. But if you are in, because we have a lot of limitations and guidelines and the policies and procedures and things to limit our freedom to operate quickly, because banking is a very governed and controlled industry. But if you're not in the banking, let's say that you're in the telecom or the FMCG industries or sectors, I think it is possible you can start something between 3 months and maybe 5 or 6 months. Between 1 or 2 quarters, you can have something ready up and running. I'm assuming, of course, you have all the data ready. The idea of that the IT will help you to get all the data consolidated, but the 3 to 6 months is to get all the vendors and do all the processes of procuring and pitching for the right vendor and building the right strategy, preparing everything in place and so on. So that's for the timelines. What was the other point?
The second question is, when is the right time to implement predictive marketing using AI?
Yeah, the right time would be if you have reasonable amount of data. So let's say that you know that your IT department have finished their data warehouse and it's up and running, or the CRM is in a good condition, or you have I don't know, 2 or 3 terabytes of data that is clean and accessible, and you're ready to go. Then it's a good time to start thinking about making this move and jumping into predictive marketing.
Perfect. Thank you once again for your time and your presentation.
Thank you, Jeevan. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now quickly slip into a 5-minute break, and then we shall come back to our next keynote speaker. Use this time for your refreshments, please.
Big businesses and brands that suffer during Big businesses and brands that suffered during the pandemic found their way back, but the smaller stores still suffer.
This lockdown has been a real
Big businesses and brands that suffered during the pandemic found their way back, but the smaller stores still suffer.
Welcome back, everyone. We will now go into our fourth keynote speaker. The topic we'll be discussing now is how to evaluate and adopt your next marketing technology. Sharing more on this topic, we have Tara Petrin, Senior Marketing Operations Manager, Amazon. Tara is an MBA with 15 years of marketing experience, including retail, entertainment business, and tech. Companies that she has worked for include Sony, NHL, and Amazon. She also holds a BA in history from UCLA and an MBA with concentration in music business from Berklee College of Music. She currently resides in Los Angeles. All over to you, Tara.
Hi. How are you? Okay. This is a topic that was perfect when Group Fishers contacted me because it's been an ongoing discussion. So what I've noticed in marketing operations is that it's really accelerated in the past 2 years, and it's mostly accelerated in smaller to medium companies. So bigger companies pretty much already have their way in set in stone, but most people are employed or contracted with smaller or medium-sized companies. So the first thing I would like to ask yourself, first of all, this could be a topic that can be on its own. So I narrowed it down to 3 big things. And the first thing is, how big is your company? So that might sound very generic when it's an umbrella like that, but it's very specific when you need to think ahead. So if you're at a startup and you're trying to grow to a medium-sized company, or maybe you're on the verge of that, you might want to look at companies that specify in that, because you know you're going to grow. So if you hire a company that helps you out for a smaller company, you need to think ahead of time in a year or two, or if you already have your quarters planned out, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, is it easy to transfer this to somewhere else, or do they have a program that helps you do that? Because you're eventually going to grow out of it. So if you're shopping for something now, just remember that there's something in the future that you're going to either hire a contractor or another team to integrate all this information from one place to another. If you outgrow it, they might help you now, but try to think about 1 or 2 years in the future. The second thing I'd like to talk about is get an opinion from your network. So in a digital world, word of mouth is still the #1 marketing technique. It's the most efficient. So by the time you are shopping for tech for any size company, you pretty much have a base network. And if you don't, I would rearrange that. So LinkedIn is a fantastic tool. I still keep in contact with all my former coworkers, employees, and bosses on LinkedIn and meet new people as well. So in your network, you might want to find someone who works at a very similar company as you. Maybe they have the same product or service, or maybe they're the same size company. Maybe they target the same audience or someone similar. You might want to reach out to them and say, hey, I noticed that you use this at your company. Why did you do that? Or how did that come to be? And then maybe they'll give you some insight. Now, having that said, this should not be a cold call. So a lot of people do their own branding and marketing for their own namesake, especially on LinkedIn, where they have like a huge following. And they might say, well, I like this tech stack. You should know them either personally or within the 1 to 2 degrees of through another person. So don't reach out to an influencer. Another reason for that, besides it being a cold call, is they might be paid. They might be endorsed by someone or have some type of compensation, even if it's not money. If Pepsi paid me, I would definitely say I like Pepsi more than Coca-Cola, whether that is true or not. So don't go out to an influencer or someone with a big following. And I see this all the time. They may say they like this company and they really endorse this company. And then you'll see the company comment either on their thread or their post or whatnot. So don't go out to those people. Have someone in your network that you maybe haven't talked to a long time, or maybe you would like to catch up with them and ask them, why did they choose this product at this company? If it's very similar to yours, that makes sense to me. The third thing I'd like to talk about is ask the company when you are talking to their sales development team or business development team is what is their response time? So when you work at a smaller or medium-sized company, you're wearing a lot of hats, whereas you work at a bigger company, you're only doing that one thing and you're usually on a bigger team. So the response time is something if you don't know what is going on, especially if you're new to that tech stack, or if something goes haywire, you need to know what their response is and how they handle that. So for example, bigger companies like Salesforce, HubSpot, I think the longest I've ever had to wait through their chat box, I think was like 10 minutes. And I get it. They're a bigger company, so they have a bigger team. I think the longest anyone said they've had to wait, we had this discussion on LinkedIn with a few of people on my network. And I think the longest someone said was like just less than an hour. And that was like one time. So really see what their response team is. If the salesman doesn't know, that's a red flag. Either you have to go look it up yourself, or the salesman may be new, or they're a newer company and they just haven't gotten that ball rolling. You want to know what the response team is, because if you are learning a new product, you are learning mostly as you go. Very rarely is there like a certification or something like that for a smaller company that helps out smaller scales. So if something goes wrong, you need to hit up their IT or a chat box or some hotline. And if they don't know what to do, or if they don't have that set up, that doesn't really help you. It doesn't really make sense to pay a company to help you to do something and then they don't know how to do it. And then that's money lost. And I'm sure blood will be boiling because now you're losing business. And this even happens in the bigger picture. Like when AWS goes down, it makes international, if not national, headlines because other companies felt that domino effect. Lots of big companies use AWS, like Lyft, the ride sharing service, for example. I know AWS went down a few weeks ago, and that was like the biggest thing that I saw. And it affected me too at Amazon. I just didn't know about it to the end of the workday when I saw it in the headlines. So smaller companies are the same way, but they don't make the national headlines. So you really need to know what their IT department is. I would also ask where their IT department is. Are they working remotely? Are they offshore? Are they in different countries in different time zones? Are they there 24/7? Some aren't. So I would also ask what uh, what that looks like for them on their side when things go bad, because you need that contingency plan, you need that backup. So that's also something I want to work in my tech stack is too, because if I have to wait for something, I can't really do the rest of my work or help out the rest of my team if I'm waiting on them, if they're shut down for an 8-hour workday or whatever. So that's something I would really penetrate into the salesman or the business sales development team that you are window shopping with. Other than that, I didn't want to talk about smaller things like budgeting and stuff like that, because I figured when you're already at that stage, you should already know those things. But shopping for something is a little trickier because you need something for your team. And so you also have to think that your team is going to grow and you're going to outgrow these tech stacks. So you always have to look to see what's going to, what is going to be in that growth. So you might want to, window shopping, as I call it, never stops unless you work at a big company. Most big companies have their own internal system anyway. So that is something I also want to share and implement is people think, oh, it's a one and done. I picked this tech stack, the company pays them, we use this service for this. And then they just think they magically are done. No, if you're working at a smaller or medium company and you're working on growth marketing, you always are window shopping because you always want the contingency plan or the plan B, because because once you outgrow that, you need your contingency plan to supplement that so that you can keep growing, and then you might outperform what that can handle. And right now, I'd like to point out that marketing operations has really skyrocketed in the past 2 years, and I predict a lot more titles in the marketing operations realm. So there's going to be a lot more smaller companies that either just started up in the last year or they're going to already in the next year in stealth mode or on the works as we speak right now. So there's already, in the past 6 months, there's already about 3 or 4 companies that I've never heard of that are already booming as well, because the marketing operations realm has been booming as well. So that makes sense to make a product or a service to supplement something that's new, right? Looking at my notes here. So that was something that I would want in your tech stack, is to always be shopping and looking around. I don't think it's ever going to stop. And I think in the next year, I predict that it's really going to boom even more than it has in the past year and a half. So you're going to see even more companies. And that's why I emphasize the network so well. I think I'm ready for questions.
Thank you, Tara. We have a 2-point question over here. Does marketing automation have social plugins integration option? That's part 1, please.
Social as in social media? Of course.
Yes, please.
Oh yeah. Anytime you have a landing page, anytime PPC. I never delved into PPC too much. Ad operations, Facebook ads, or now, excuse me, Meta is still one of the top performers. And that's one of the reasons why even third parties won't even stop using it as well, because it's constantly performing. A lot of people say, you know, the younger generation doesn't use Facebook. Facebook ads is still the #1 ad in the social media platforms, and that includes everything that they own as well, like Instagram, WhatsApp, and things like that. So, oh yeah, social plugins. I'm reading the question right here. Social plugins definitely are marketing automation as well. Any data you can collect for your client is going to be good. Data will always be there. It will always be collected. It's how you interpret it that makes your marketing team stronger or weak. Data will always be there. It's how you read it and how you interpret it. So it's never going to be a bad thing to get extra data. Worst case scenario, you just use it for another time or you don't use it. I don't really know an example for that because I work in a much bigger company, but I don't see how data will ever be bad, because data will always be data. It's kind of neutral. It's kind of like in a gray area. It's how you interpret that data and how you need it and what you need it for, or how you use it.
The second part to the same question is, can both the sales and marketing team use it?
Use what? Marketing operations? Is that what they
Social
mean?
plugins integration option.
Oh, I would think so. So Salesforce is a perfect example of that. Salesforce was actually meant for a sales team. And then marketing just kind of happened later. And then now they have certifications for marketing and so forth. Salesforce was actually for sales. So I think definitely a sales team can use automation. And then CRM, that's literally what CRM stands for, is customer relationship management. So whenever a sale records something, the marketing team can use something about that. I did that as well. I used to work for the federal government, and that was the first time I used push notifications and SMS. It was about 2 years ago. And we used a software called Call Hub. So it's actually a sales tech stack, not marketing, but we would use the data from that app, from that software. And then we would use it for whatever happened in that phone conversation we would use that data to implement whatever marketing they needed to the end user. And we did that for millions of people.
Great. Thank you very much for your interactive presentation. We shall now move on to our next topic. We shall now be moving on to our next topic. We will be talking about marketing automation, top players and demand. Our speaker is Paulo Jones, Global Associate Director, Customer Engagement, CRM, Marketing, Digital, IQVIA. He has moved from general marketing in 2011. Since then, he has been working on digital transformation on hybrid roles between businesses and tech across 5 countries, leading many cross-cultural teams and delivering over 40 Salesforce projects in marketing, sales, and service, while working on a daily basis with some of the biggest Salesforce consultancies in the world, such as Deloitte, Gemini, Accenture, 4C Consulting, IBM Services, and Cloud Coaches. Over to you, Paulo, please.
Hi. First and foremost, thank you very much for your invitation. Okay, so I will try to share my screen, and please let me know if this works. Okay, so just give me 1 second to see if this is actually sharing the correct one. Okay. Let me know if that's the case, and if you can.
We have a good visual
it
from your side.
Okay, genius then. So, so to start from, thank you very much. So today and this webinar is around the future of marketing automation for business. I'll be focusing then on the marketing automation top players in demand, as already shared, and my name is Paulo Gomes. With regards to this, so we're going to be moving forward. So essentially, I will just give a very brief overview on my intro and background, and the main focus, and because this is all about you and not about myself, so the main focus is going to be essentially on the marketing automation top players, but also in terms of the demand from a technology perspective, but also from a jobs perspective, meaning what sorts of profiles are actually much more in demand. So I think it's important also for you to understand in order to actually to hire ahead of the curve, to say so that you have everything sorted on time. And then of course we have the QA, okay? Q&A. So in terms of my background and intro was already a bit shared. So my background is essentially a lot around tech consulting. On the client side, but also on the consultancy side. As we stand right now, I'm working at the consultancy, IQVIA. But aside from that, I also worked a lot on the CRM side of things. Okay, apologies for that, on MarTech and sales tech, and actually across 5 different countries where I lived and worked. Therefore, I also lead loads of different people with different backgrounds and culture on small, medium, and very large companies. Okay, so with regards to that, and also so that you have this in mind, so that you know what sorts of questions you can actually raise to me, because that's the objective, so that you raise and you address comments without any problems whatsoever. So my background before actually moving to this more to the marketing technology and sales technology side of things, I was used to work on general marketing, okay, and then around 2012, give or take, I moved then into this more tech side of things of marketing. Okay, so as mentioned, since 2012 on digital transformation, and since 2012 on Salesforce. Okay, so moving forward, so marketing automation top players. What is it that I would like to start from to underline? So to make sure that everyone is on the same page. Okay, so there is this kind of confusion sometimes around CRM and marketing automation. So I already saw this several times, okay, across different companies. And I'd like just to make sure that we are on the same page. So when we are talking about CRM, as mentioned by my previous colleague, so we are actually looking much more towards the sales side. So pipeline management, opportunity management, and it was essentially geared towards sales, okay? And then we can actually include even service, okay, within this, but essentially it's focused on sales. And then of course you have the marketing side, and then there is another concept that is around revenue cycle, okay, of full CRM, when you actually combine the marketing, service, and sales in one view. And why? Because essentially the customer that is at the heart of all of this does not reside on the marketing side, does not reside on the sales, on the service, it resides all over. Okay, so it's important to also have this concept of actually connecting both parts, okay, or the 3 parts. Also, just as a very high level reference, so marketing automation is essentially much more geared towards lifecycle marketing, okay, with prepping of campaigns across different channels, multi-channel, omni-channel. That is the concept, and not as much the concept of actually pure CRM, okay? So going a bit deeper in what is it that we have as marketing automation. So marketing automation is essentially serves for you to launch single channel campaigns, multi-channel or omni-channel campaigns. Okay, essentially you can use it for landing pages, forms, e-commerce, lead generation. You can also do a lot of rules. Okay, so actually develop things on top of your marketing automation with workflows, automations. For instance, on the case of Salesforce Marketing Cloud, you can use Unscript for that, and then you can connect to different channels on the social side. Also making sure that you can leverage all the data and the analytics on top to translate all of that interactions that you're going to have across the different channels into what are the best insights and how to transform that data into insights and the best actions that you can take in order to actually not to interrupt the customer, but actually to engage with the customer on exactly on the correct time. Okay, so also in connection to marketing automation, you have data management platforms or DMPs, you have CDPs as well. We already talked about the personalization, okay, the one-to-one kind of campaign, but all of that is important also to, as a kind of a last note, to make sure that everyone is on the same page once more. It's, you have essentially three types of campaigns, let's say. So you have the single channel that is not even, let's say, pure marketing automation, is more towards the MailChimps of this world. And then you have the multi-channel where you're actually using, for instance, landing pages, forms, websites, social, etc. But you are using this not in let's say in an engaging way, not on an omni-channel way. Okay, so when you are actually using those different channels in a way that the customer should have the same kind of experience across, okay, across the different channels, then you are at an omni-channel experience, okay, and not just having a multi-channel where you are bombarded from different channels, SMS, websites, social, whatever, but without actually telling you a story. Okay, so that's the importance of omni-channel. Okay, so hopefully that clarifies a bit what is actually marketing automation about. And then let's go deeper. Okay, so I'll give you on the next actually slide, I'm going to give you a concrete example of one solution. But before actually moving to that, I'm just going to give you a high-level view of where do we stand in terms of the top players in terms of marketing automation. Okay, so of course I named this CRM platforms on the concept of the full CRM, but my focus will be indeed on the marketing automation. Here you have, for instance, Adobe Campaign, you have Oracle, you have Salesforce, Pardot and Salesforce Marketing Cloud, you have Pega, you have HubSpot, you have loads of different solutions that are of high importance, and all of those should actually engage with sales and with service, actually to create the optimal experience for the customer, and also to take the maximum out of the revenue cycle. Okay, so that's a bit the concept. Then I'm going to give you a concrete example of a specific solution within the industry. Okay, so you have let's say more general marketing automation solutions, as on the case of Salesforce Marketing Cloud, Pardot, Adobe Campaign for, or even Eloqua from Oracle. Okay, but then you have specific solutions that go actually to an industry level. Okay, and this is the case of, for instance, OC Digital, that is a marketing automation solution from IQVIA that is actually based on top of Salesforce Marketing Cloud. Okay, so the key concept here is that the customer, rather than the sales, the rep, is actually at the center of it. Okay, the customer is the one that actually decides if he or she wants to connect to you. Okay, and then of course one of the things that is important for us to actually to understand is that this solution, for instance, as an example, marketing automation, but this is a reflection of the others, of course, should reflect the customer's journey, based on their information, on their preferences, on their interactions. So as I mentioned before, to make sure that whenever you engage, actually you do not disrupt, okay? And then you have actually the connection across the different solutions from marketing, sales, and service. So for instance, here you have the example of the pharma person, a sales guy that actually gets in touch. But you also have the marketing manager that works on the marketing automation solution. You have the brand director. You have the CAM, the key account manager that actually works in connection to the marketing automation. So why? Because once more, the objective is actually to have one single orchestration, okay, of the solution to make sure that the customer is at the center. This specific example on this integration allows for the commercial teams actually to coordinate their decisions, activities, building customer trust, and avoiding confusion. And this is important because customer engagement needs to be founded on insights, as was referred by my first colleague. And that information is most important because then from that information, you can actually take some decisions from a strategical perspective on how to engage with specific segments, but also one-to-one view. Okay, so this is important because those preferences will for sure determine what such of behavior in terms of opening or ignoring emails, clicking on links, watching videos, etc. So it goes from a strategic perspective and then to a tactical perspective. How is it that we're actually going to move forward in that front? Okay, so looking then into the demand, I'm going to be focusing essentially on 4. Okay, and I will explain to you why those 4. Essentially, here I'm talking about Adobe Campaign, mostly focus on the B2C side of things. Okay, but highly intuitive, highly creative, let's say. And also you have Oracle. Mostly here underlying Eloqua, that is designed more towards more complex settings with high customization, very complex programs in terms of marketing. And then you have Salesforce that has 2 offers. Okay, so here is Pardot for lead generation and also pipeline management, but also, for instance, and more gears towards B2B. And you have Salesforce Marketing Cloud that is more gears towards B2C, but also can be used on the B2B front, and that allows for different utilization of channels, DMPs, and also on top AI, etc. Okay, highly interesting. And then you have Pega. The reason why I've underlined Pega is because Pega is a kind of a solution that does everything. So it's marketing, sales, and service. It's cheaper, let's say, but of course, it's not as powerful as the others. But we may have people that actually are looking for a solution that has value, but it's not at that level of efficiency as the others, but also has AI aggregated to it. Okay, so it's an interesting one. Okay, moving forward then into the profiles and jobs in demand. I think this is also important and relevant to underline, also to understand what type of profiles are then in more demand. This for the companies, but this also for the people that are looking to change jobs or are looking to actually to choose what will be their future in terms of work. So we have, this is not for any specific ranking actually, but you have, for instance, digital marketing. That is for sure, I will not spend a lot of time speaking about it because it's almost like known across the board, the importance of digital marketing, even more on this day and age where we are working more remotely than ever. So the importance of digital is, of course, does not need, in my view, to be underlined. Then you have the marketing operations. That is an interesting one that is being growing a lot more on the smaller and mid-sized companies more and more. The bigger already had it, but is essentially focused on this kind of function that works towards the concatenation, the collection, let's say, of a department or people that actually understand the tech, the marketing campaigns, and also the analytics and overall the process in one single kind of job. It's highly in demand more and more. And then you have the 2 other more technical kind of jobs and profiles, the architecture, because if you're going to be implementing a marketing automation to be highly efficient so that your marketing machine actually goes for the longer run. Let's say you need to think, how is it that I'm going to be building it up towards the future in a scalable and sustainable way? How is it that will be connected to different solutions? So that's the importance of the architect. And of course the developers, because more than ever, this is not just about being analytical and being creative, but actually can create code and do whatever you want with your marketing automation solution. Last but not least, if you want to have someone actually knows how to implement a marketing automation solution, go and talk to a consultant. They are highly in demand, and this is just to avoid that you come against risks. And those are the people who actually understand the technical side, but also the business side, and can actually help you on moving forward. Okay, so those are the, let's say, the 5 profiles that I see growing a lot in 2022 and beyond. Okay, so with that, I'm closing it. So this is my QA. Please let me know if you have any questions with regards to this.
Thank you for your detailed presentation, Paulo. The first question is,
yes,
how is the marketing automation tool different from a CRM?
Okay, that's a good question. So I will try in order to facilitate also the understanding. So I'm gonna move back, okay, so that we have that as clear as possible. So here, for instance, I think this is a good slide for that. So essentially, when I'm talking about CRM is focused, of course, on customer relationship management, but was geared towards sales, okay? So everything that is built on top of the CRM is more towards sales, on pipeline management, opportunity management, business processes from a sales perspective. But of course, the CRM concept continued on growing, and more actually started to connect to the marketing side, okay? But in itself, the CRM does not have the capability of actually building campaigns as a marketing automation has, with social, with campaigns, with rules, with geared towards pipeline management, etc. So the perfect marriage is actually to have marketing automation together with CRM, okay? Let me know if it's clear.
Perfect. The second question for you is, does the marketing automation suite provide API support?
If the marketing automation should provide API support, is that your question?
Yes.
Meaning I can talk to you about a concrete example. So I'm working a lot on Salesforce and other solutions, but on Salesforce and OC, I would say by default it should, but you also need to have a bit of a clarity. What are the limitations, okay, of that solution? Because all solutions come with a limit in terms of API. And if my advice would be, if you are doing a simple integration of 2 solutions, let's say marketing automation towards something else, and it's not frequent, I would say that an API, for instance, is okay because it will not break. But then if you're going to move into a more complex setting where you are actually pushing a lot of data, I would go for a more robust solution that would allow for you to actually monitor that integration to make sure that you do not have errors. So if something happens, you actually understand what's happening. And there, for instance, MuleSoft is such a solution. Or if you're going to be looking into the pharma world, I would say, for instance, Lexi, to give you a concrete example of solutions. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your detailed presentation.
You're very welcome. Okay. Thank you for your time. And just to close, if you, anyone, of course, if anyone has questions, I'm happy to be reach out via LinkedIn and or even by my YouTube channel that I created just to support people during this pandemic era and share knowledge. So please feel free to reach out after the call if needed. Okay.
Thank you once again. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
We shall now move on to our last but not the least keynote speaker. We will be talking about automating your content marketing processes, guides, and tools. Speaking on this, we have Vassilena Valchanova, digital marketing strategist. She's been a digital marketing strategist, trainer, and speaker with close to 15 years of experience in marketing strategy, content marketing, funnel building, and CRO for e-commerce and SaaS businesses. She has worked with brands such as LG Electronics, Dell, Razer, Her expertise lies in B2C field and has been applied to SaaS products with more than 500,000 registered users. In her daily work, she serves as the hands-on expert and the consultant, but also the trainer. She says she aims to be indispensable from the start and fully dispensable in the long run. In her spare time, she organizes popular science events with Ratio, teaches content marketing growth at Soft Uni, and authors a blog on digital strategy and growth. Please allow us a minute to relook into the audio.
Last 15 years. I help brands build meaningful relationships with their audiences, both attracting new customers and creating loyalty for existing users through content marketing. And obviously, in our ever more digitalized world, we're also working with clients to scale their content marketing production and promotion strategies to different digital channels. This is also where marketing automation comes in really handy in my work. What you can see here are my online properties where you can find me online and continue the conversation after this talk today. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn and Twitter, so feel free to follow me there and connect there. And you can also read more about my work and some of my thoughts on digital strategy and advice on content marketing on my personal website, valchanova.me. It's a bit hard to pronounce, but pretty interesting, I can guarantee. So whenever I'm working with clients and we're talking about the content marketing strategy, usually we talk about automating some of the content marketing tasks and doing a lot of work to get those benefits coming from automation. So in theory, the first question that a new customer would probably ask me is, hey, Vasi, like, why do I even need to think about automation when it comes to content marketing? After all, a lot of people feel that content marketing is a very creative space, and as such, there's no two content tasks that are alike. But that's not necessarily true. If you're already managing your brand social media channels, you know that there's a lot of repetitive work happening when it comes to social media posting, drafting out content, planning that content out, and reusing that content in the future. But also when it comes to content creation, after all, we're most often working with some form of a template. We're not producing entirely new concepts day in and day out. We rely on what works already. And as such, we can automate and we should automate. But why should we automate? Well, first off, the very first thing that usually comes to mind is to save time. Yes, you'll be saving a lot of time with automation, and particularly saving that silly work time, the time that you usually have to dedicate to menial tasks, to stuff that doesn't necessarily require mastery from you as a marketer, but stuff that just needs to happen in order for your content marketing engine to keep running. But we can dive a bit deeper here as well, because once you start saving time, you can actually dedicate that time to more worthwhile tasks. And that means that with marketing automation, you'll be saving a lot of time that you can then dedicate to increase the quality of your content. Think of it in this way. If you don't need to spend 15 minutes today to post on social media channels, you can actually get that hour or hour and a half every week and dedicate that time to planning out your deep content strategy, or doing topic research to find new ideas, new content topics that are going to resonate with your audience. So automation, by saving time, it also ensures higher quality. And finally, it helps a lot with onboarding new members of your content management and content production team, be it new marketing hires or freelancers you've just hired for a particular content production task. The more you can automate, and here I'm not talking just about delegating some tasks to an app or piece of software, but also creating those robust standard operating procedures that your content marketing team uses. As soon as you have these in place, you can onboard new people more quickly and make sure that they start earning their keep quicker and with the quality that you expect them to. So this is how all these three things come together. So I hope that by now I've given you like a very, very basic idea of why you need to automate, why you need to focus on marketing automation for content production. So let's dive into the how. Obviously, you're all here to learn something practical today, so let me give that to you. So this might be a weird question to pose, how to automate, because almost always when we think of automation, we think of some piece of code. We think of a software, an app, a tool, a macro that you can put down that automates part of your content process. But that's not the only thing. I'll talk about different apps and pieces of software you can use to automate your content production in a bit. But I first want to dedicate some time to talk about some other forms of automation, more like, let's call it soft automation, that you can use to save yourself some time and dedicate that time to more worthwhile tasks. The first one is not necessarily automating, but directing those tasks to a virtual assistant who can actually perform them for you. Think of these, like, again, menial but time-consuming tasks that you need to do. For example, you have a new piece of content on your blog and you want to promote that through other websites. Finding out those websites you want to reach out to who are a good fit. This can be a task easily relegated to a virtual assistant who can then find the websites, collect all the statistics you need in order to decide if this site is a good fit or not, and finding, let's say, the email address which you can write to in order to get a backlink or to get a social media share. So although this is not like full automation, you still have a person doing that task. It serves the same person. It's purpose. It saves you time and lets you focus on those high impact content production tasks. And then the other thing that's very, very closely tied to virtual assistants, but also very important if you have a larger marketing team where you have like some junior marketing people who will be performing part of your content production tasks. It's talking about different processes in your content marketing and creating checklists and detailed guides on how to perform these tasks in your content production plan. So think of it this way. If I get a junior marketing person now and tell them, hey, like, here's our new blog post, share it across all of our social media channels, I'm not entirely sure what's gonna come out of it. But if I give that same person a very detailed checklist saying, okay, like, share it to Twitter, make sure that you use at least 2 relevant hashtags to the topic of the blog post, make sure that you mention the people we actually mentioned in the blog post, you actually mention their Twitter handles so that they see the post and interact with it, and so on and so forth. you get the idea, I guess. This ensures that I'll be keeping that same high quality as if I am posting that tweet or that Facebook post myself, but again, saving that time and directing that time to more important tasks. So don't think just about what you can automate away with code and apps, but think about using other people to do the work for you and providing them with those checklists and detailed guides that are gonna let them perform these tasks with the necessary level of quality. We'll go through each of these in a bit more detail so you get a better idea of what I'm talking about. So let's first focus on the apps and software, because I'm sure that this is where the most attention will be drawn today. Since there are a ton of different tasks related to content marketing production, and most of them are pretty custom, like you need to make sure that you have this process adapted to your own brand and to the content types that you yourself are producing. The best way to go is using custom automations. This can be done through tools like IFTTT and Zapier. These are two of the ones that I use most often, but essentially they work in the same way. So the way they both work is you create a sort of a recipe where you say, I have this one action that serves as a trigger. So let's say if I post something new to Instagram, as in the example here, then the tool performs a specific follow-up action for you without you having to, spend time to actually work this out. So in this case, it says, if I post something new on Instagram, then save that photo to Dropbox. For example, if I need to then send a folder with high quality pictures to my client that I'm managing social media for on Instagram, this will be a very easy task I can create with either IFTTT or Zapier. There are some differences between the tools that both of these allow you to use, but you'll have to dig around and find the one that works for you. And here it seems like what you can do is create this two-step automation, but it can actually look much more complex, as you can see here. So this is an actual screenshot from a task I've done myself in Zapier. It's for a client who does marketing events. And it says that once we have the event confirmed, so it gets moved to the column confirmed in our shared Trello board, then a bunch of things happens. So for example, when the card is moved, we create automatically a Google Drive folder where all the presentations are gonna go in. We create a scenario for the event, a rundown and agenda that's according to a template we're already using. We add specific members to the Trello card so they know they can already start working on the details around the event, and so on and so forth. So you can already see that this can get very complex very quickly. The other tool I wanted to quickly touch on when it comes to social media scheduling, that's usually the most easily automated marketing task and content task. The app I love to use is called CoSchedule for two specific reasons. One of them is that they have these social sharing templates that you can create for your brand and use in the future. So essentially, if you're posting content on your own website, what CoSchedule says is as soon as a new piece of content gets posted on my blog, then I have these series of social media posts that are gonna go out. So for example, on the same day, I'm going to post that I have a new blog post on Twitter and on Instagram. Then a day later, I'm going to post on Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter again, etc., etc. So it creates this list of shares that goes out as soon as you publish a new piece of content. And the other really cool feature CoSchedule has is what they call requeue. So essentially, think of it in this way. You have this bucket of social media posts you've shared in the past and you want to reshare again. Let's say you have an evergreen piece on your blog that you want to promote again every couple of months. As soon as CoSchedule sees a gap in your content posting schedule, so they see that you don't have anything to post on LinkedIn on this particular day, they take one post out of this bucket and stick it in there. So you have your posting schedule full, and you're also getting content out of your backlog and in front of people's eyes. My personal favorite is Sendinblue. There are a ton of email tools that you can use to create very complex workflows where you can send people additional content depending on what they've done on your website or how they've interacted with past emails. So for example, if you have a customer who's just signed up with you, you create an onboarding schedule. If they've been signed up for a while, but they haven't returned to your app for the past 2 weeks, let's say, you can send them a short nudge telling them what else they can do in your app and how they can interact with it. So this is a great way to create this ongoing relationship with existing customers. Email is by far the best channel to do that, and automation and email go hand in hand. I'm sure that some of the other speakers of the event have spoken to you a lot about automation already. I mentioned that there are 2 other types of automation that you can use, and this is creating standard procedures and what I'll be talking about in a sec. But first, let's focus here on those standard procedures, the content production and sharing processes in your company. So the easiest thing you can do is create robust checklists that tell you what needs to happen at each step of the process of creating your next piece of content. So I really love Trello as a project management tool for for content marketing production. And the best thing about Trello is that you can create a template out of your standard process and use that for each new piece of important content you'll be producing down the line. So for example, you can have like a card template that's for new blog posts, and you have like, first off, you need to create the blog post outline, then your SEO person needs to define the keywords for that, then the designer needs to create additional graphics, while at the same time, the content writer is actually writing the first draft. This needs to go to management for a review, etc., etc. And the cool thing with Trello is that you can create these checklists and you can have separate dates and separate members who are in charge of each separate task in this checklist automatically. So you can have that for each piece of important content you are producing. The more detailed you go here, the easier it will be to automate that process and for it to go smoothly without you taking part in it day in and day out. And finally, related to that one is having detailed manuals and guidelines on each of these tasks. So again, one of the things that I love to do is create short video walkthroughs for each of the standard tasks we're using. This is an example of, I was describing how we create an event description for this event management company I'm working with. And once you record that, my go-to tool for that is called Loom. Once you record that video in Loom, you can send it to a new copywriter or another person on the team who'll be looking at this event and detailing out. Or you can obviously write that down in like Google Docs again, my go-to. You can use something different, but having this detailed list and explaining like you need to click here, then you need to look into that, and then you need to select a person or like whatever it is. This is obviously in Cyrillic, so you're probably not able to read that, and you don't really need to. Like, the idea here is that the more detailed you go in these guides and in these procedures, the easier it will be for you to automate the whole process. So this was just a very short intro. I hope you liked that. And you can find the slides and anything I've talked about, as well as a way for you to subscribe to my newsletter where I share more about content on my website, valchanova.me/slides. I hope you like this. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope we'll be able to talk more in the future. Bye.
Well, that was a detailed presentation from Vassilena. I would like to thank all our keynote speakers for their topics and their presentation. We shall now quickly move into our panel discussion. Today we have Mostafa Ahli, Head of Digital Marketing, Banque, Caire, Petrin, Senior Marketing Operations Manager, Amazon, Chirodip Basu, Head of Marketing, Ahli United Bank, and Michael Volpi, Senior Manager, Digital Marketing, Americas International SOS. We'll be covering 4 questions today. I would request all panelists to go one by one, presenting their thoughts and ideas on each question. Question number 1 for us is, what are the emerging trends and challenges in the marketing automation? We'll open up with Mostafa Ahli, please.
Challenges in the marketing automation. Well, there are many, but let's talk about the most important ones. Well, marketing automation needs a lot of endorsement from the management. And for that, you need budget and you need endorsements and support to connect to the IT and other people who hold the data. So the first challenge is to build a case that you will do some marketing automation and you get this vendor and you pay this money because you will get this result. And when you build the case, it will help you a lot with securing the budget and the data connectivity to the IT databases that they have. The second thing that I want to mention regarding the challenges is that a lot of people in the marketing business will go on and search Google on examples for marketing automation use cases, or maybe they heard it from a friend and so on. But my advice is do not rely on your intuition or Google search. Go find a professional consultant or an agency that is a professional in providing services in marketing automation, because they will give you ideas and they will open doors for you, and they will challenge your requirements to give you even more than what you expect, and put you on the right roadmap to achieve what you want.
Thanks, Mostafa. Tara, would you like to take it up from here, please?
Sure. Do you mind repeating the question, or is there somewhere I can read it?
I'll repeat the question for you. What are the emerging trends and challenges in marketing automation?
Okay, trends, I've actually seen it already. I predicted this about 2 years ago. We're going to start seeing more management and directors with the actual title of marketing operations. So instead of the full umbrella of marketing manager, we're actually seeing marketing operations manager or director. A word that's been trending a lot is MarTech. Even though marketing operations has been around, MarTech seems to be a term that has been used less than 2 years ago. And I think that's going to be, I see it in job descriptions everywhere. So I think we're going to have more management just in operations alone, not just the umbrella of marketing management or head of marketing or director of marketing. It's going to be specifically marketing operations. Challenges is that now you're going to have to teach everybody this. So us older not older in age, but older in the career business of marketing operations. We were doing it before it was cool. So we're going to have to teach everybody this. This is kind of like a newer trend. And I see that already. That's actually how the job I got now. The person who hired me didn't know what to do. Kind of the second what Mostafa was saying about getting an agency, except I'm a contractor, not a third-party agency. They needed help. And I said, I can do that. So the challenge now for the next, I predict 2 to 3 years, is you're going to have to start teaching teams how to do this, because there's not too many seasoned marketing operations specialists or managers or directors already. They're coming now into the light because they have years of experience, 3 to 5 years of experience or more in the past. So now you're going to have to start teaching these things. And I think that's part of leadership and also just running a business. So that might be a challenge to some who's never done that before. They're just used to working on a team with their coworkers. But now this is new tech and this is trending. So you have to learn it just like any other tech. I might be dating myself here, but maybe learning streaming from DVDs and stuff like that. The world was changing. So I think that's a challenge that people, a fun challenge though, that people will face soon, if not already now.
All right, thank you very much for your point. We can now move to Chirodip for this, please. So could you please unmute yourself?
Thank you. Is that better? Yeah. So, I think one of the trends that we are looking into is of AI coming into market and the incorporation of messaging apps. That's, I think, the biggest trend that one is seeing, and the conversational marketing is picking up its momentum tremendously. I think that's one of the trends that needs to be worked on. And when we talk about that, of course, when we talk about challenges, it's only when you start the journey you realize how big the scope is. Typically it seems like a very easy to kind of implement chatbot, but understanding the natural language that a customer actually says or wants to use, and typically in regions where there are multiple languages, the nuances of those languages, that becomes a huge task. So while I think chatbots will be the biggest thing, or messaging apps will be the biggest thing, I think the challenge lies in kind of taking that and incorporating it in business.
Right. Thank you once again. We'll now move to Michael for this question, please.
Sure. I think really the challenge that comes to mind, Tara just explained it very well. Skill set, right? I think a lot of us have been jumping onto the marketing automation bandwagon for some years now. But it looks like we've been teaching each other, or we've been teaching ourselves. Marketing automation is not taught at school or at university. And so when you get a new job in digital, well, welcome to the world, right? So it is extremely important to have the right skill sets, the right team, or as Mostafa explained, the right agency that can actually support your integration. Because if it is not well done, your marketing automation will never actually perform the way it's supposed to. And then from a trend standpoint, I see it, and I do it as well. Currently, interdepartmental automation, and I think the presenter we just had before touched on that. Marketing automation tools are, I like to see them more as business hubs rather than marketing automation tools. They don't only help marketing, they actually can help the entire business grow. And marketing automation, not called campaigns anymore, but programs, can actually be helping various departments, right? From, of course, the sales department all the way to recruitment. Marketing automation softwares can do that. So I think that the name change can really help people understand, not really marketing automation, I'd really call them business hubs, into which all data connects, as Mostafa explained as well. And if it's connected correctly, then it's really powerful.
Right. Thanks, Michael. Paulo, when you're closing this question, can you also talk about emerging trends and challenges in marketing automation?
Yes, of course. So in terms of the trends, let's put it like that, I would say that more and more, we need to see it, as was already referred by my colleagues. It's not about the marketing as a silo. It's about the total cycle of the customer, the total revenue cycle. So I think that this will grow more and more, and there will be for sure a handshake between marketing, sales, service, the customer, etc. So this has to be seen as a whole. And I think that another trend is that indeed marketing technology, marketing automation, professionals around this area will be in extreme demand. I think that is a trend that we're already seeing it, but will grow even further. In terms of the challenges, I would say that one of the biggest challenges is when you sell it, to make sure of the ROI, as Mostafa mentioned that. Then the other point is around after you sell it, that you can actually have proper adoption, that people actually use it, that people actually make use of it. Because if not, it's like if you have a car but you don't know how to drive it, it's pointless. It's just there. And then I think that the other challenge is upskilling marketeers. I think that is definitely a challenge. And I think that is something that we need to make sure. You need to have a growth mindset, and you need to teach, and the change management needs to take a role here. And then to close, I would say that more and more, I think that people will, as soon as they go into one first iteration and things go bad, they understand that they need to go more towards someone that actually knows a bit more, a consultant, someone that I can actually give that a kind of layer of understanding, not just of the business on the campaign, but also how to build it towards the future. Okay, so I would say that those are my main points, some of which were already underlined as well by my colleagues. That's it.
Thank you, everyone. We'll go to our next question. This question is now talking about the most common hypes that we can see in marketing automation. And we'll start with Mostafa again. The most common hypes that we see in marketing automation.
Yes, what I see now, very common, is the talk about data privacy of the customers. And considering that most of the marketing automation tools that are on the rise now are on the cloud. So basically you're pushing your customer data to the cloud, and this will pose a lot of, constitute a problem if you're in the banking industry like myself, or my colleagues in the pharma business, or the medical health, medical care, and so on, because these industries have a lot of issues with protecting the customer data. If you're in a smaller business, not really a very big organization, and you're not in a region that imposes a lot of restrictions, for example, the EU, the GDPR, and so on, then you might have other arrangements. So everybody, all the good, really good tools are on the cloud. But then again, you have to protect the customer data, and you have to apply to certain regulations, and this is posting a lot of hype and chaos and discussions on this. But and in addition to that, all the automation tools are becoming dirt cheap, very, very cost effective now, and I think this is affecting the industry as a whole, because many customers would try the marketing automation for the first time and go to cheap tools, and they will get very bad experience, and then they will have a bad experience from trying it out, and bad impression on the marketing automation. So my advice is do a lot of study for protecting customer data before you jump into the cloud, and get external help from a professional vendor if you have to. And do not go on the dirt cheap tools. Find the good companies that have a lot of portfolio and previous proven cases.
Perfect, thank you. Tara, would you like to take it from here?
Yes, for clarification, did you say hype, H-Y-P-E?
Yes, ma'am.
The hype of marketing?
Yes.
Okay,
the
just making
common
sure.
hypes, yeah.
Okay, I think the hype is going to be building. So I kind of already answered this in my last question. I think a lot more departments are going to expand marketing automation. It's been around, it just didn't have a label or a category. It was kind of just like that person who does all the marketing that no one else wants to do. And now it's becoming a department with a management and a director and a head of marketing operations that we didn't see before. And so I think the hype, especially in the recruiting world, is going to be learning all of this, and then they're going to build departments, and then they're going to build from there, and there's going to be a lot of testing. I've already talked to recruiters already, because there's not too many of us marketing operations people in upper management, and even they don't know what they're talking about. So they'll say something contradictive, or that is an oxymoron, or just doesn't make sense, and I'll say, well, are you sure the job is that? Because, and then I'll label X, Y, and Z, and they don't even know what they're talking about. So I see a lot of learning and a lot of building teams. So once the management is there, then you're going to get all of employees underneath, or a third party, as Mostafa was saying, that you can always hire someone that may know what they're talking about, or hire another agency. I also predict agencies. So of course anyone can hire a third party agency for their marketing. I don't know any here in Los Angeles that do specifically marketing automation. I think that's why I've been in freelancing and contract for so long. I'm going into my 5th year of contracting and freelancing. I'm a contractor here at Amazon, so I'm going to end at Amazon one day, someday soon. Not like being terminated or quitting. I mean like ending my contract. So I think that's why I've done so well in freelancing or contract, because I didn't fall into a freelancing contract. I didn't wake up one day and be like, you know what, I don't want to be an employee anymore. No, it didn't happen like that. People were constantly needing something. So I think a lot of teams are going to be built, and that's going to be the new hype. I still think we're in the stages of not knowing how to do that, except for the people who are already in marketing automation, such as the 4 people and other panelists that spoke today. I only say that because, again, a lot of recruiters will say, hey, they want this, that, and that. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. Are you sure the job entitles? Are you sure that's what, the hiring manager said? So I see a lot of building in marketing automations. I see a lot more titles in marketing automation, and is now not even so much marketing more, it's moving into tech. So now I'm a tech person, yet I've been doing it for 15 years. I never considered myself a tech person, even though I worked in the industry of tech before. I see marketing is now also a hype of moving away from marketing and now being under tech. MarTech seems to be the new term everybody has been throwing. Thank you.
Thank you for your viewpoint. We'll move next to Chiro, please. Chirodip.
Yeah, so for me, I think the biggest hype that is somehow people have started understanding or talking about marketing of automation, and they say that it probably is going to solve all the issues that are there. They try to think that it's a CRM, it will probably have its own database. Marketing automation works in tandem with other aspects of the business. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that is being faced. Because of the hype that is there with marketing automation, people kind of think that this is the zenith of everything. But that's not really the case. You have to invest in a good CRM, a good database, how it is lead. So you cannot really bypass everything else and just have a marketing automation. So I think that's very crucial, and that's the biggest kind of hype that I see every day in the future. So,
right. Thank you very much. Michael, would you like to share your view, please?
Sure. I mean, there isn't much to add anymore, in my views. A lot has been said. I think one of the biggest marketing automation hypes is that marketing automation is basically hyped. It's the hype of a marketing automation, it's itself, right? It's just what Chirodip just explained. People say, let's onboard a marketing automation system, we'll solve all our problems. This is not true. If nothing is done correctly, nothing will basically go anywhere. If you don't have the right people with the right experience, it's not going anywhere. So I hear a lot of my peers saying, oh, we're onboarding a new marketing automation tool. They haven't done, as Mostafa said, the right analysis on which one to onboard, because that's a major problem. Sometimes some, as Mostafa said again, smaller ones are excellent at sales pitch. And then you get basically bought into a solution that you regret further down the line having purchased because it's just wrong. And even with the biggest ones, when you look at the likes of Oracle Eloqua versus Adobe Marketo. They are huge, but they are actually extremely different. And it's not because you're going to get any marketing automation tool that all your marketing problems will be solved and that you're going to grow the business tremendously across all departments. And I think this is the biggest hype, is that no marketing automation is not there to fix all everybody's problems. If not done correctly, or if onboarded the wrong marketing automation tool, that's basically actually probably a downside. It's probably going to take you backwards. You're going to spend so much time into implementing a tool that you might regret further down the line having implemented. And once you're there, thinking about re-implementing a new one to replace the old one is just not in the cards anymore. I mean, you've spent so much money, etc. So I think the pre-work is really the most important part of any marketing automation tool implementation or onboarding, is what it is really that I want to achieve at my business with my team. What are the skills that I currently have, and what are the skills that I need, and what I need to do in order to get all departments together to talk about how marketing automation can help everyone succeed. I think it is really, so in summary, the pre-work, that's the most important in anything. Otherwise, it is just hype.
Thank you very much. Paulo, would you like to add something to this, please?
Yes. First and foremost, I have to say that I do agree a lot with what Michael just said, and the other panelists as well. So I'll try not to talk about the same. So I will underline mainly two. Okay, so one is around customer centricity. I think that more and more this is now a hype, but will grow out of this and will become something extremely real, because the customer is indeed at the center. So customer centricity, covering not just marketing, but sales, service, change management, whatever will be indeed the department or area. Then aside from that, also I would say that we will see more and more handshake between marketing and sales, for sure, and people working across the different solutions, not just closed on the CRM side or on the marketing automation side. And then lastly, I know that Tara already mentioned this, but I think it's something that needs to be underlined, that we're going to see more and more the combination of hybrid roles. And this is the hype, looking for the hybrid. That will be a combination of marketing and technology, and this will be the same with sales and technology and so forth. So those, I would say, that are the hype, and whoever actually rides those waves, let's say, will be ahead of the game. That will be my closure, okay, on that topic.
Right. Thank you once again. Our third question is from the company's perspective. The question is, what do you think are the biggest myths that companies have regarding marketing automation? It's quite similar to the one that we've just spoken about. We'll start with Mostafa. If you can just share your point over here, please.
Yes, so sometimes I'm talking with a company or a business owner, and I would try to explain more about marketing automation, and they say, "Oh, you mean HubSpot? Or you mean Marketo, or are you talking about Sprinkler or Hootsuite?" So the biggest myth that companies has is sometimes they just associate the entirety of marketing automation with a single brand, with a single tool. They would think that marketing automation is HubSpot, or that marketing automation is Marketo from Adobe, or that just give it the name of one brand. Marketing automation can take fluid forms and a variety of applications, and there is a whole bunch, big suite of different applications and implementation that can be, and it's not just one company. So I think this is the, people don't really, and they think it's, oh, we have a tool for sending automated emails or getting sign-up forms to send automatic download links or something like that. They just think that marketing automation is just one thing. Well, it's not. It's a lot of applications to be discussed.
Right. Thank you very much. Tara, would you like to add something to this, please?
Sure. I have a kind of a funny one. the myth about operations is the word operations itself. They think like logistics. They think like marketing operations as kind of project management, where, okay, we need this lined up, this deadline is here. And they don't understand that it's actually like a tech. Like we look at data and backend, and some of us might code HTML and CSS, and they don't actually know what marketing operations is. And I see that a lot. That goes back to my other example with recruiters. That's actually happened before several times, including recruiters where I've had a relationship with, where they didn't know what marketing operations was. The myth is just literally the operations. Oh, this is the logistics of the marketing. You just make sure everything's together, not realizing that we can do a lot of things in the digital world. So it's happened quite a few times. It is a myth that they just don't know what marketing, the word operations, and they take that in the classic definition or a logical sense of operations as making sure everything going according to plan as far as the logistics.
Thank you very much for your answer. Chirodip, would you like to add something to this, please?
So I can write a book on this. Companies expect you have done marketing automation, so you should be able to do everything. The biggest myth, I think, or the expectation that companies have is that with marketing automation, you will need less people. It actually is contrary to that. When you start personalizing and automatic marketing automation, you actually need much more content, because you're actually providing much more content to a diverse amount of people. So you are kind of making subsets of a whole set, and then giving them content which is customized for them. So that actually increases the load of the work. This, I think, is the biggest myth that's there, that companies expect that with marketing automation, like typically the word automation means, we should be able to automate less number of people. Why are you asking for more people? So I think that's the biggest myth that's there with companies, that marketing automation would actually reduce the load of work that's there on the marketing department.
Got it. Thank you very much. Michael, would you like to add something to this, please?
Sure. I think the most important point for me is that implementing a marketing automation platform is not in no means robotizing marketing. I think it is the complete opposite. It's not because we're using a robot basically to help us do what we want to achieve that we are thinking about robotizing the entire strategy. I think it is the opposite. I think it'd be more humanizing everything that we do on a large scale, all around an audience, right, or multiple audiences. Marketing automation really helps us understand the journey, understand each profile, run tests, and gather data to understand exactly who we're talking about, who we're talking to, and what are we actually, what are we putting in front of our audience. Marketing automation is just data on the platform. And if the first myth really would be to transform the idea from robotizing marketing to humanizing marketing, I think it really would be helping a lot of companies onboard it.
Got it. Thank you. Paulo, would you like to add something to this?
Yes. So what I would say that what I see as a bit of a myth is that marketing automation is only for big business. That is one. I could not disagree more. I think it's for all businesses that want to go further, I would say. Then the other topic is, and I'm talking about that by experience because I work in a tech company of 100 people in the UK and was fully automated end-to-end. So marketing automation is just to send messages and emails. That is another one that you see a lot. And people don't understand the full scope of what is it that you can actually do with marketing automation. So there is a need to explain there. And then the other topic is that marketing automation actually is just the tool, and it's not. It's around the process, and marketing automation will not kill jobs, will transform jobs and the needs of different jobs. Those, I think, some of the myths that I come against very often, I would say.
Right. Thank you for your answer, please. Our last question is twofold. First part, what are the greatest benefits of working with marketing automation consulting agencies or partners? Second part, when should businesses consider partnering versus building a team entirely in-house? We'll start with Mostafa, please.
Yes. So the biggest benefit of going with an agency is that they will get the job done. This is very important. There's a lot less risk when you go with an agency. When you go with an agency, you know that they most likely will get the job done, and you will get value for the money you paid, and there is less risk of the entire automation project to go as a failure. So, and the other part of the question, which is
the second part is, when should businesses consider partnering versus building a team?
Unless you don't have someone in your team currently existing who has done at least one complete project implementation of marketing automation, then you must go with an agency.
Perfect.
That's
right. Thank you. Tara, would you like to please answer this?
Sure. As far as when to hire someone or an agency, I would say right away. So I, for example, worked at a startup and I was the very first employee, and I first started with their CRM before I got to their automation, because CRM is not all the same as marketing automation. It might be under the umbrella, but it's not the same. And I literally started from scratch. They didn't have a CRM platform. So when I say I started everything from scratch, I mean I started everything from scratch. I think I started in like a Google Sheets. And then when they purchased a CRM platform, I implemented and integrated all the information in there. So I say I don't see anything wrong with right away, especially if you have the budget for it. I know a lot of startups depend out of pocket money, or they depend on funding. And if you have the budget for it, I don't see why you should stop, even if it's one person. I've done that before. So then after that was created, after they had a foundation of CRM, we worked on other things like email marketing and data implementation and things like that. And that took about 5 months. So, and I was the only one on the team for the first 2.5 months. So I didn't even get a second person until my 3rd month on that particular assignment. So I don't see why you can't start right away, because data is important, and data is data, and you need it to interpret. Otherwise, you have nothing to interpret if you don't have that data already. So the second part of the question, I don't know if I can answer it because I'm the 3rd person. So I'm the in-house. I'm not an agency. I'm one person. I work by contract and freelance. So I don't know if I can answer that. But from my side, I've worked both in-house and agency, and then with the agency I've worked with in-house. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I've done all 3. So
Perfect. Right. Thank you. We'll move on to Chirodip next, please.
Yeah, the question probably is, if I may ask, do you have the expertise in having marketing automation? Now, marketing automation is not one texture thing or a data thing or marketing content thing. So there are multiple streams that actually need to converge at one point. And having all the expertise at one point of time for a company, I think is a little difficult at initial stages. So an agency or a partner will always help in initial stages to kind of have those kind of expertise, because it's shared resources. You're not really paying for one resources who's only liaising with tech or somebody just to do content. So it is the optimum utilization of the resource as well as the amount that we are paying for the resource. Now, once that is to a certain stage where you've got sufficient volume, yes, we need an engagement. How much content do you want to put out in a week? You need to understand that, and the optimal content, if that is of substantial value, where you can invest into it, only then one should go into an in-house team. that's my opinion. You should first try out with the agency where you can kind of ensure that you get return on investment, and then kind of adopt it in-house. Typically, I have seen people getting adopted directly from the agency into the business, and that kind of at times are built into the contract while the contract has started with the agency. So that, in my opinion, we should first start with an agency and then move it in.
Got it. Thank you very much. Michael, would you like to add something to that, please?
Sure. I think I'd just mix the two questions together. I think it's possible. Based on three factors, I'd say the size of your organization, the budget, because they are not linked most of the time, and three, the complexity of your current digital ecosystem. How many platforms besides your marketing automation tool you have? You may prefer to either do it in-house or outsource. In my opinion, if you determine that you have too many platforms, if you have the budget, and if you're a large organization, I don't think you can do it in-house at all. I believe that it is impossible for a large organization to do a complete implementation with correct data connection all over the place and something sustainable alone. I doubt it. Or you will probably have to recruit someone who probably costs you more than an agency. So I don't think this is even possible regardless. We're not superheroes. I think though that the agency on their own cannot implement anything by themselves either. It is a hand-in-hand partnership that you will have to do. You have the internal knowledge, they have the processes and skills, technical skills purely, and that together only can lead to basically a correct implementation. So when is it that you can rely on an agency, or it doesn't matter. It is really, don't start alone and then, oh, I can't do it, so what if I actually ask an agency? It's not the way it works. It is more, I have the internal knowledge, I partner with an agency, and we do it together. If my organization is small, and if there is 2 or 3 people, and if I only have 2 or 3 platforms, I may be able to pull it off to alone. But again, you have to be exceptional at doing it. And Tara, I think you've done it, so it looks like you're very good. I would not be able to do it alone, and I think it is important that we partner with agents that have really the highest technical skills on the exact marketing platform that you have onboarded, because you may be exceptional at Marketo and you have no idea about Eloqua or HubSpot or anything else. As Mostafa said earlier, there's not only one brand out there, there is dozens, and depending on what skill set you have on one, you will have, unfortunately, to rely on someone else that has a skill set on that particular platform you're onboarding. That is right for your organization.
Thank you very much for your view. We'll move to Paulo now, please.
Okay, so on my perspective, I would say that you should always start with a consulting. I think it's, unless you are zero budget, I would say that you should always go for that. And why? I'm saying this because I work on both sides. Okay, so I work on the end customer and on the consulting side. Right now, I'm on the consulting side. So what I can say is that you can actually get a lot out of the consultants, because you will for sure get the job done. Aside from that, all the knowledge that they hold can actually boost your business from a tech perspective and from a business perspective. This will allow for you to build something much more sustainable and scalable towards the future. So that will be my take. Okay, always start. And then the second part will be, when is it that you should actually look into building a team entirely in-house, if I do recall correctly. I would say that you should, by default, you should only do that when you have the people and the skills. Okay, then you can have a transition plan. Do not fire, between brackets, the consultants and then let's do it. I would say that you should actually do a transition plan. In my view as well, I would say that you can always, and you should always, in my perspective, have consultants, because you're going to come across in this fast-paced environment with projects that are new, okay, that you always need to scale the capacity that you have to deliver. And that's where the consultants actually come along very well, because they hold the knowledge, they hold the resources as well. So that allows for you to scale without the need of actually contracting people that you need on the future to let go. So I would say that that will be my answer to that. Okay, that's it.
Thank you very much. This actually brings us to the end of our webinar. Thanks to all the speakers and audiences who have made it today. Thank you for taking out your precious time for the discussions over this topic in this webinar. Please do check our LinkedIn page for more upcoming seminars. We wish you all the best of health and safety in these testing times. Thank you once again for your time and have a good rest of the day. Bye-bye, everyone.